TNN Trap News Network. Hey, Robert, you appreciate them thumbnails, man? Hey, notice how everybody's going to start copying. Notice how everybody's going to start. I promise you, in our universe, you finna start seeing South Park, Simpsons, Futurama, King of the Hill, Ace Boys. Ace Boys. I call names. Yeah. Can we see the trap influence on these thumbnails? Ace Boys. Pun. I ain't even calling the Ace Boys. Pun, I'm talking to you. You feel me? You see that trap influence in this mother chucker? But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all showing love to the thumbnails and all that kind of stuff. And whoopty bam. Yeah, bro, come on, man. Snoop Wilpock, I gotta slide to the gym, but send me a message on Instagram, Snoop Wilpock, and I will be happy to send it to you. Rap, news, street, politics. East Coast Crip, Federal RICO. Let's get into this.
6ix9ine East Coast Crip. Rap, news, street, politics. The best hood channel on YouTube. And we back on the east side of South Central with them neighborhood East Coast Crips. Now, for everybody that's thinking that Big U indictment is going crazy, one of the top guys on the east side was making Big U and some of his co-defendants look like they was running a circus on the west side. We got Paul Wallace, a.k.a. Lil Doc from 6ix9ine East Coast Crip, Death Lane. In the six packs with the homies at deuce to the 9. 90 days, see the bird down, cause the block hot, they pursuing crime. Free the real niggas locked up, you know the ones down that's doing time. Rest in peace, Lil Ezel, will prevail in due time.
Man, I'm Lil Doc, a.k.a. Lil Doc.
Wait, is that his real name? The General? Is that really his real name?
69th Street, neighborhood, east side neighborhood, East Coast Crip.
Now in 2020, Lil Doc, who was arguably the undisputed leader of all neighborhood East Coast sets, went down on the same type of indictment that Big U was alleged in, the RICO. Now there's a lot of similarities between what happened with Doc on the east side and what's going on with Big U and his co-defendants in their situation as well. Like I said, RICO charges, murder, extortion. But the thing is, multiple dudes from East Coast that were at one time...
I see you looking good in your red today. Show fine a double-double. That's right.
reputable OG members took the stand on Doc, testified.
You look good, baby. You beautiful. I see you. You look good today. I see you. I saw you was doing your little gardening and all that kind of stuff. I know you wasn't. You was just posing. I know damn well you didn't. I know you didn't. Because first of all, your hands was too clean. But I just wanted you to know you beautiful. You beautiful. You did 5 laps? That's right. I see you getting that body right for your nigga. That's right. Get that shit right for daddy. That's right. All that.
Man, like I said, some older homies that did have some pull on the east side over here got on the stand. We got somebody in this case that was pimping their underage granddaughter. Bank robbery crews. Somebody who alleged that they started.
Whoa, nigga. Whoa. Pimping your underage granddaughter? Boundaries, gentlemen. We are on a podcast. Whoa.
7-6 East Coast, as well as allegations of Lil Doc extorting a weed shop on the east side for a job. And everybody in here career criminals with multiple state cases, and everybody done touched the feds as well. And you see a grip of older dudes making statements on Doc Thone. Now, like I said, it's alleged that Doc was the boss of all bosses when it came to that East Coast cripping. And we spoke multiple times about EC, about how they have real unity with they cripping over there on the east side, from Pacoima to Riverside to South Central to Carson. All of they sets get along, but we will talk about a situation where there was some internal beef between East Coast as well.
So when the young homies that...
Just when you thought niggas couldn't reach a new low. Just when you thought niggas couldn't reach a new low. Baby, you got food on your face. I got you. Don't trip. Nobody got your back like me. It's still there too with your nasty ass. That's right. Keep sticking that tongue out. Just when you thought that niggas couldn't get a new low, they pimped their granddaughters. Underage. Barnacles. You deserve whatever they get to you.
Want to be...
I got my girl on FaceTime right here, y'all. So if y'all wonder who I'm talking to, she right. I'm not gonna show y'all her, but the phone is sitting right here. Look, the phone sits right there. You feel me?
Gang banging and acting ignorant still and trying to be young. I'm 18 still acting like they want to gang bang. You know, we tell them too, you know, shake the hand, homie. And he can be from East Coast Crip, but he my little homie, but I'm going to tell him to do that. Now, if he shake it and half-ass shake it or he try to act funny, then I'm going to let him do that in front of Smoke and Port. And then we're going to pull him to the side, take him up in the cell and be like, why you do that, homie? Why you disrespect me like that as your G homie?
Now, some key differences that this RICO had when compared to that Big U RICO, number one is the geography, the east side to the west side. What you see in this RICO was no games being played. It's no internet games, no internet beef, no question marks about the gang banging that was going on around this whole situation. And we all know, everybody from the city know, the east side is always different from the west side, man. And the key things about the hoods and the dudes on the west side, sometimes they get the label of being Hollywood because of the geographics being closer.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna lie. West side, nigga, Slauson Ave. You can say what you want to say to me, nigga. The east side start after Vermont. I don't give a damn what nobody say. Niggas like, nigga, the Hoovers is west side. Oh, this is west side, blah, blah. In my Slauson Ave mind, west side nigga that went to Hamilton and Palms, yeah, the east side start after Vermont, my nigga. Because once you hit that El Pollo Loco in Vermont and Slauson, shit start looking different, my nigga. Shit start looking different. Shit start looking different. I ain't mad at nobody for being out there selling their tacos and selling their clothes. Because in my less fortunate, you know what I'm saying, years, I ain't gonna lie, like I ain't never bought no clothes from them little dudes over there in Vermont. Outside the Food for Less. I done bought some clothes from over there. It's a little Jersey man that used to be on Fig and like 48 selling jerseys. I done bought some. Remember when I had my jersey phase? When we first met, I had all them jerseys. 48th and Fig, 49th and Fig, whatever. He was over there selling jerseys. I used to get them from Little Mexican dude and all that. I thought I was fresh. You feel me? I was working with what I had. You feel me? Niggas say what they want to say. Scratching my head on this. The east side start after Vermont. The east side start after Vermont, my nigga. Once you cross that El Pollo Loco in Vermont and Slauson, it's a whole different world. It's the whole new world. Father, what's that over there? That, son, is the other side of Vermont. Promise you'll never go there. That's what that shit is, right there.
To some more diverse areas in the city. You know, before the internet and the cell phone age took off, you didn't see a lot of east side dudes on the west side in places like Santa Monica, Palisades, Melrose, La Brea, Fairfax. You know, you ran into east side dudes still in the hood on the west side, maybe some parties, maybe when they had them little teen clubs in Hollywood.
And keep in mind, I used to live on 101st in Vermont. She been in that house. It's the east side. Trust me. It's the west side. It's the west side. It's the east side of the west side.
But for the most part, there was some segregation when it came to east side dudes bleeding into these diverse areas. But west side dudes will have the opportunity to rock with different crowds, which is how they got that moniker of being Hollywood, which is what we see in this Big U indictment. We got dudes like Brick Baby, Loose Cannon on the internet playing games, running content, just doing a whole bunch of weird stuff. We see Big U with NFL players, NBA players, clubs, all kind of shit. On this East Coast indictment, nothing but pure gang banging. No games being played, bodies is getting dropped, and gang banging is really playing out the way it should be played out, so to speak. And I say that because something else we've seen with this Big U situation is kind of like somewhat villainizing these guys in this modern day gangster era. But my thing is, the story should be told the same way that the stories of Al Capone and John Gotti and all them East Coast mobsters, it should be represented how the East Coast mob was represented. It's really no different. These are modern day mobsters, modern day gangsters. And over the years, so many people have celebrated the likes of these Italian mobsters from New York or Chicago, but everybody want to act funny when we have our own modern day gangsters who is doing the same as those guys. But also, like we've touched on before, the basics of East Coast Crip. It was alleged that, like I said, Doc was running everything, which would mean 13 individual sets. If you break it down a six-pack into individual blocks, it was said that Doc was the standard. Doc was the program. And we know as neighborhood Crips, we know the enemies that's coming with that. They number one enemies, the Swans and the Hoovers, and they've had historical beefs with the Broadways in which they've cleaned things up with the kitchens in which they've cleaned things up with the Avalons and the Main Streets who they've also cleaned things up with. And of course, the big situation that happened that Doc Thone was a part of the peace treaty with the Florencia.
You know, so for the record, the beef between East Coast and Florence is over.
It's over. It's a wrap for that.
Now, right after that peace treaty happened with Florence, this is when the RICO came down from Doc. But this is not his first time running into the feds. There was only one murder that's alleged in this indictment, but we're gonna speak about other murders that he was involved with, that he admitted to, as well as all the dirty work the confidential informants was taking part of. Now, a couple key things about Doc. It said that he landed on the east side off Wadsworth in about 71, around the inception of this East Coast Crip. And like many stories have been told, it didn't take him long to rise up in the ranks over here on the east side. But situations that transpired in the 80s affected Doc all the way up into this indictment. The first situation was when he got shot by his homie from Swans in 82, where he was hit in the back and it caused nerve damage in both of his legs, causing him to be disabled.
Well, if he shot you in the back, it's safe to say that that wasn't your homie. Safe to say.
For a period of time. And once he was able to regain his walk, he would never be the same and would never fully recover from those shells. Now, 2 years after that period, Doc was hanging out at a park, celebrating the fact that he was able to get back on his feet when he was shot 7 times, allegedly by Lil Scooby from 7-4 Hoop, where he was shot multiple times in his biceps and in both hips. Now, later on that same year in 84, he was shot again with a shotgun in the lower back in the Swans, this time outside of Fremont High School. And it seems like those 3 events were the turning point that made Doc the individual that he is even today. Now, the federal complaint.
Now, those type of attacks can definitely make one into a monster. That could Michael Myers, Jason, you the whole whatever. You feel me?
In 2020.
If you come into this motherfucker saying overstand, I swear to God, I'm blocking. Get your woke deep ass out of here with that overstand Grand Rising. I hate it. The homie just came in my chat trolling. I'm sure he overstands. That's not his homie anymore. Stop commenting to him. I hate that shit. I hate that shit. I hate that shit.
Alleged 26 on
Hey, the general? You know what? The general's on fire right now. I'll allow it. Don't block him. You got to take your fade, giving life. The general going crazy right now. I don't mean literally. I mean in the chat. Take your virtual fade. But the general, he's going crazy. I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Acts that contributed to the RICO charge on Doc. And of course, just like Big U, they alleging that Doc was spearheading a criminal enterprise in the East Coast Crips and used murder, witness intimidation, extortion, and drug trafficking to maintain a strong grip on his leadership position. Now, Doc is officially from 69th Street, East Coast, but we know the 6-pack consists of 6 Deuce, 6'6", 6'8", and 6'9". Doc stayed on 65th and Broadway, which is going to be a main staple for a lot of events that's alleged in this indictment, and was a main hangout spot for a lot of dudes from the coast. And it's also common knowledge that the 6-pack is somewhat of the heartbeat of the neighborhood East Coast Crips. But aside from that, another key thing about this indictment was that the feds did use Doc's interviews with Kev Mack against him, where they alleged that he liked to brag about his violence. But these interviews also showed Lil Doc with a positive...
Damn, my nigga. It's the interviews, bro. Y'all gotta stop admitting to crimes on the internet, bro. You gotta stop admitting to crimes on the internet. You gotta stop admitting to crimes on the internet. You gotta stop admitting to crimes on the internet.
Infectious personality. And I definitely recommend y'all checking them out because they were positive, regardless of how they respond. But we know his rap sheet went all the way back to about 89 with the violence when it started with cocaine possession and manslaughter charges, also including multiple gun charges and assaults behind the walls.
Oh shit, this evil. I heard about them. You know, they was killing like a motherfucker like me. And I'm like, damn, they put in work, got murders under their belt like a motherfucker. I got murders under mine. They worship the devil. And I was like, damn, that's evil from Swan. I want to meet him. He was like, what's up, Lil Doc?
Now, the indictment, like I said, alleges that Doc participated in a murder, but it's only talking about one. But we got to rewind the clock back to February 9th, 2003, a homicide that's not alleged in the indictment that Doc beat back in 2004. And that's the murder of his own homie, Ray Pickey, aka Ray Dog from 6'6" East Coast Crib. And at this time, Doc was only 4 years removed from prison for another murder that he went down for in '89. Now, even though this is not a part of the indictment, prosecutors wanted to use this case against Doc for a couple reasons. Number one, to of course show the jury that he's capable of murder. But the key thing is he beat the murder, but after he beat it, he did a lot of bragging about why he beat it and that he actually did do the murder.
She said, now you in there for murder, and I'm in there for a double murder. He said, I should not kill. I didn't kill. I don't give I didn't kill a few motherfuckers, so I know I'm going to hell.
So the second reason they wanted to bring this case up was to debunk the reason why he got this case dismissed, even though he couldn't be tried for it again. So at this time in 2003, it said that everybody's kicking it on 65th, which is one of the main hangout spots for everybody in the six-pack and a lot of East Coast members, period. Doc lived on 65th at the time. And according to a female named Nicole Climbs that he was messing with, a bunch of dudes from the coast was outside, drinking, smoking, cutting hair, just chilling. Now, the key thing is, like I said, the female he was dating was Nicole Climbs. Prior to this situation, Nicole had relations with Ray Dog. And it was said that Ray Dog had made comments to Nicole, who also lived on 65th, to clean up some of the hair that was being cut off the floor. But he also made some disrespectful comments that went along with that as well. Now, Nicole ended up taking a stand on this case. She said she didn't want to be there, but the feds had threatened her with jail time. And her, like many of these witnesses, was scared to take the stand on Doc. As we see, there was 2 jurors that had to be dismissed because they said their life was in danger after finding out the type of person Doc Thone was. One of the dudes brought his mama to court to help him get off the jury stand because he said he didn't want to be a part of it. Another juror said she didn't like how gang members were in the audience watching the trial. She felt intimidated and was dismissed. So Nicole Climbs felt like a lot of other people in here not wanting to testify on Doc due to potential repercussions from the coast. But she's the one that testified and said Ray Dog got disrespectful towards her and that she was dealing with Doc at the time and previously dealing with Ray Dog. But the situation with Ray Dog happened when they was kids, when she was like 14. So she's saying that it was nothing. But there was 2 confidential witnesses that Doc talked to about this murder, bragging that he didn't, that took the stand on him in this case. Derek Angelo Banks, aka Too Cool, from 7'6" East Coast, and Ashanti Harrison, aka Devil, from 6 Deuce East Coast.
And they would see Doc was tight with Big Too Cool from 7'6". And both of them was just dogs too. And Doc was tight with Big Bub and Big Quake from 6 Deuce.
Now, Too Cool is a dirty character in the game. He's known as CW2. And he was the self-proclaimed shot caller of 7'6" East Coast. He said he started 7'6", and it was Big Doc Thone, Lil Doc's big homie, who convinced Too Cool to put the East Coast on the 7'6" and become a part of these neighborhood Crips. So this is an original member from the coast, before Doc even got there. And he refers to himself as a triple OG. Now, he claims that Doc confessed the murder of Ray Dog to him back in 2004, when Doc went down for the case. He goes on to testify that Doc told him he started smacking on Nicole, and Ray Dog didn't know about it until that day, which is why he got disrespectful with Nicole while they was kicking it on 65th. Now, he said Ray Dog was a youngster, a young dude, young homie. He was 35 at the time, and of course, Doc had the juice, especially in 2003. Now, Ray Dog's disrespect of Nicole seemingly caused Lil Doc to have some words with him over what he was saying. Now, again, these dudes is drinking, they outside, they hanging out, his females around, his homies around. Nobody's gonna be taking disrespect. Now, at that point, it said that Ray Dog banged 6'6" on Doc, and Doc banged 6'9" back. and they proceeded to go their separate ways, with Ray Dog still hanging out on the block. Now at this time, Nicole Klein, who like I said also stayed on 65th, had went into the house for a second and then dipped out to go get some food. She said when she got back, about 30 minutes later, 65th and Broadway was taped off. Whole scene shut down, murder scene. Now allegedly, Doc told Too Cool that he felt like Ray Dog was trying to embarrass him and that he had to make an example.
Now, I will say this. I tell this to my young homies all the time. Now I'm telling this to y'all because most of y'all are probably older than me watching this video. The jail is full of people who can't tell you what happened that day, but they can tell you how somebody made them feel. I tell this to my sons all the time. Be in control of your emotions. You hear what they said? So-and-so felt that so-and-so was doing blah, blah, blah. The key word was felt. You see how strong a feeling can go? A feeling can cost you your life and your freedom. So I always tell people like this. Be wise. Be real. Hold on. Boys! Boys! Do you hear your dog barking? Okay, so if you can hear the dog barking, what does that mean? Why do I gotta keep saying that?
Because she already used the bathroom.
Okay, so if she... Do you only use the bathroom one time a day?
No.
So is it possible the dog might need to use the bathroom?
Yes.
If the dog's barking, I don't want it like... My nigga, please get on that. Yes. It's just common sense, bro. Close the door. Close the door! Thank you.
You're welcome.
Common sense is a form of intelligence, bro. Common sense is a form of intelligence. I try to teach that to my kids. Common sense is a form of intelligence. Anyway, like I was saying though, the jail is full of people who can't tell you what happened that day, what was going on, but they can tell you how it made them feel. So just always keep in mind, bro, emotions is a motherfucker. You got to be in control of your feelings.
A lot of Ray Dog in front of the homies. And at this point, it said that Doc returned back to 65th with a pistol and aired Ray Dog out, putting 7 in his body, including 1 to the left side of his forehead, killing him right here on 65th and Broadway. Now, there were originally 2 eyewitnesses to this murder, but one of them already died before they can testify against Doc in this RICO case. Too Cool was saying what Doc told him when they were sitting in the county together. Of course, Too Cool was on an unrelated case, but he said when they was going to court in the tank, this is what Doc told him. But confidential witness 4 was the eyewitness to this murder, Thomas Ristic, who also went by the name of Eric Burrell. Now, the key thing with Tommy Ristic, this is a smoker. So he's not from the neighborhood, he's not from East Coast. He happened to get out of the county earlier this day and made his way over to 65th with his wife and the kids in the car to buy some pills. So when he pulls up to 65th, he says he see dudes hanging out and he gets out the car. As soon as he gets out the car, he says he sees somebody bussing and he see Ray Dog drop to the floor, hitting his face on the cement from falling off the lawn. He said he was so dope sick at the time that he stepped over Ray Dog's body and still went in the house to get his pills. But he also said that he seen somebody running from the scene who he pointed out to be Doc Thone. But at that time, all he did was get in the car and he went back home. Now, the key thing is he didn't want to cooperate with the police. He was trying to stay low key because he still had to get his dope from over there off 65th. But he calls the police when he gets home a couple days later because he's worried about Ray Dog and didn't know if the dude survived or not. But he ended up calling from his actual number. The police traced the call back to his crib and pulled up on him looking for that statement. So he said he was nervous and initially made some bad statements. He said some Latino men had pulled up in a Honda and did a drive-by on 65th. So he pretty much made himself null and void in the situation. But after he made that statement, of course, he was picked up again and taken to that room where detectives pressed him harder, and he ended up picking Doc out of a lineup saying Doc is the one that ran when he seen Ray Dog get killed. Now, this turned out to be a pivotal turn in the case, saying Doc ran away because, like we said, he was shot in the spine when he was 16. So he has a hobble walk where he kind of hops and walks a little bit funny. So Doc used this to his advantage And when he went down on this case, he called physicians and doctors as expert witnesses to basically show, demonstrate, and explain to the judge, the jury, and the prosecutors that it's physically no way that he could run. And it was also said that the assailant not only ran, but jumped over a wall. And the doctor said that it was physically impossible for Doc to be able to do that.
She said, everybody talking about you was down, you know, and you a rider, but you in a wheelchair now. That's stuff. They put cuz in a wheelchair, like as if you threw vote. And I was like, yeah. So I was telling her, I said, watch when I get out of here. I'm killing every motherfucking bag up.
That's how we got the...
Probably not something you want to say on camera. Words are hard.
Murderer Ray Dog dismissed. But he went on to tell all his homies that he had to make an example of Ray Dog.
I was like, shit, could motherfucker shoot me and I'm in the wheelchair and then gonna shoot me again and I'm in the wheelchair and shit. So I was like, I'm shooting everybody. I was like, I want everybody with a limp. All you motherfuckers with a limp.
Now that was in 2003. Here we are in 2021. Both Ristic and Too Cool are taking a stand. The reason why Tommy Ristic was here is because he was catching cases in between that time. He ended up going down in Burbank trying to solicit a minor for some sex. And at the time of Doc's trial, he was facing 1 count of rape, 2 counts of digital penetration with a foreign object, 1 count of sodomy, and a potential false imprisonment or kidnapping because he got a female in his car and locked her in there. So he was...
Hey, yeah, they gotta get that nigga the fuck up off the streets. God damn.
Looking at a minimum of 32 years based on the case that he caught in 2020. As soon as he got in the room with them people, he said, man, I seen a murder. He told them he was a witness of the homicide back in 2003 and was ready to tell it all. But the crazy thing is, this dude didn't...
They gotta get that nigga off the streets. He's a menace. He's a fucking menace. You gotta get that nigga off the streets.
Even negotiate to get his sentencing reduced.
Oh God, get that nigga out the universe. Real talk.
For cooperating as a witness in this RICO trial. It wasn't until this 2021 trial that Tommy Ristic says he saw Doc. He still said Doc ran. Still said Doc jumped over the wall. But again, he couldn't point Doc out as the shooter. One of the reasons is because he was so focused on getting his dope that day. All he seen was who he pointed out as Doc running. But Too Cool, who took the stand on Doc in regards to this case as well, explained to the jury how Doc bragged about bringing medical experts up there to prove that he couldn't run even though he could run. He said he did everything they said he did, but medical records will prove that he couldn't do it. Now, Too Cool is probably the biggest rat on this case. I'm not gonna lie. This is one of the nastiest people that we may ever talk about on this channel. Like I said, this is a self-proclaimed triple OG who's been around for a long time, went down on federal cases, and is a career criminal, and has hung out with Doc too many times to count. He went on to describe Doc as the boss of all bosses and said nobody wants to go against Lil Doc. And he said this murderer Ray Dog was the only time he ever seen a homie kill another homie and have to face no repercussions behind it. Nobody wanted to question Doc for killing another member of East Coast. He said Doc was above a DP. He pointed out a time in '89 when Doc was in jail for that manslaughter case where Doc ran into Lil Scooby from 74 Hoover, the same dude that shot him, and Doc took it upon himself without consulting anybody to attack the Hoovers and a riot broke out. Now, things didn't go as planned, but he said even though Doc didn't consult anybody about jumping the riot off, nobody wanted to question Doc all the way back in '89. That's how much juice he had.
Oh, that nigga been stepping on shit. That nigga been stepping on shit.
In his hood and behind the walls. He said Doc was running 6'9" by the 90s. And then eventually went to take over all of the 6-pack. And then eventually running all of the coast. Now we know the six-pack is really the heart.
You know, speaking positively, you gotta admire his hard work and dedication, because he started with his hood, then the surroundings of his hood, then the entirety of his hood. That man understood stepping stones and progression. He went from step to step to step to step to step. You really gotta respect the fact that he appreciated and respected the process. That's a great example of how you just can't skip. If you can apply that to positive thinking and in life, you will be super successful. Sometimes you just need some little, you know what I'm saying? I'm just giving it to y'all on some nigga shit. You have to, you gotta respect his perseverance, man. That nigga built something from nothing to something, and he really, you know, can't skip steps, man. Let that be the lesson out of all this. You can't skip steps, and do not admit to crimes on camera. Don't commit crimes, period, but don't admit to crimes on camera, for sure. But don't skip steps. It's really a lesson in all of this.
For the East Coast Crips. So Doc was having a lot of power at this time. And with that power, we know it comes with a lot of beef. Like I said previously, of course they beefing with the Hoovers, they beefing with the Swans, and the main beef that everybody knows about was their war that they had with Florencia.
Like, they'll pay a visit to our apartments. We'll pay a visit to like 745 Deuce.
Now the crazy thing is, Too Cool was dealing with F-13 in 2009 in the middle of the war. It said that he was buying 5 to 6 keys a month from these dudes and serving a lot of weight throughout LA. And this resulted in an indictment where 34 people, a part of Florencia, of course, one was including 7-6 East Coast and Too Cool, all went down on a conspiracy to distribute controlled substance. Also possession with intent to distribute a controlled substance, money laundering, possession of firearms, aiding and abetting, and use of a communication facility in committing a felony drug offense. There were 60 counts on this indictment, and this is the first time in 2009 Too Cool started working for the FBI.
They got him. Damn, man.
On every
Damn it, man.
Body from F-13 and took the stand against these guys. He was facing a 10-year minimum. His testimony got him dropped down 18 levels in the feds. He ended up serving 2 years and got a time served when he came back to be sentenced. Now, the crazy thing is, he alleges that East Coast knew about him snitching on F-13 and said they was cool with it because the coast was beefing with Florencia. Now, after he gets out the feds in this case, he's back on the streets with his homies, like I said, racking up charges. But the feds come to Too Cool in 2015 and say they want...
What are y'all doing? Come here. Come here. They finna say something stupid. Watch. What are y'all doing?
Nothing. The table fell down and Harper tapped it.
What table?
Like the table like that you use for...
Why do they keep falling? Why does that keep happening?
I don't know.
Okay, so what am I finna say?
Stop dropping it.
What am I finna say?
Stop dropping it. Okay.
Because if y'all was just sitting down doing what you were supposed to do, would that be happening?
No.
But y'all in there fucking around?
No.
My nigga, it's cameras. I can see you.
I'm saying that.
Okay, so how I fall then, bro?
Harper's showing us what 6 did. And then...
Man, sit down somewhere.
Okay.
Thank you. Close the door. Oh my God, boy. If you got sons, you understand, boy, because they just always doing something. Sit down. Just chill, bro. Relax, my nigga.
want him to work for them to take down some of the violent crime off the streets and in his neighborhood. And he says yes. Now, he said at this point, he just started backdooring people, meeting up with different people, getting their locations, getting their phone numbers, sending it to the feds and watching people go down. And in this case alone, when he was on the stand in 2021, he was still bringing up random people. On the stand, he brought up Kelsey from 190, G-Man from 11-8, Quake from 6 Deuce, Ronnie Bound from 6'8", and PP from Q102, all top members from the coast. He was still name dropping. Now, the crazy thing is, him and Doc was still cool at this time in 2015. It was alleged in the indictment that Doc was extorting a weed shop just like Big U and them, which we gonna speak on, but the weed shop was on 62nd and Broadway in the 6 Deuces. He said that Doc called him up for backup against the 6 Deuces just in case they had to shoot it out. And one thing that people may not know is 6'9" and 6 Deuce have went to war before, and bodies have dropped when they was beefing. So Doc was not afraid to go at his homie.
We don't want to see any coast-on-coast crime, man. We want everybody to get along.
And impose his power. Too Cool said he's never seen anybody more powerful than Doc. And in that 2003 murder case, he said Doc smiled when he told him about killing Ray Dog. And he said anybody else from 6'6" or any other set from the coast try to come up and testify against him at that time, they was gonna meet the same fate as Ray Dog. But some key things changed in 2016 for Doc and for Too Cool. It said that Doc had called up Too Cool one day to come to his crib. Too Cool went over there to kick it. Later that day, the feds ended up raiding Doc's house, and he ends up going down into federal custody at MDC for felon in possession of firearms and ammunition. At this point, Doc starts to put the word out that Too Cool is a rat. He figured Too Cool was the last person to be at his house before this raid, and that Too Cool led the feds to Doc's house. Now, the crazy thing is, the feds and Too Cool alleged that it was strictly coincidental that both of those things happened that same day because the feds said they didn't send Too Cool over there to Doc's house for any intelligence that day. They was operating on a whole nother situation that didn't involve Too Cool, but Doc still gave the word out that Too Cool was a rat after this situation. And at this point, once the feds realized Too Cool was compromised, they told him to step back because they didn't want him killed over here in the coast. But at this time, after he's done working with the feds, Too Cool goes down for pimping his granddaughter, a minor at the time.
This nigga Too Cool gonna this is a dangerous individual, bro. He'll pow at you, he'll tell on you, he'll fight you, he'll put his granddaughter on a razor. Like, this nigga has no boundaries, bro. Like, none. No boundaries. Y'all in the chat arguing over twos and fews. Y'all missing the fact that this dude just tried to put his granddaughter on a razor. This is crazy. Fucking right. Real talk. The homie go, he's an effing monster. Oh God, he is. This nigga's a super villain, bro. Like, this nigga's a super villain. Like, he plays in all arenas. I'm cool, bro. I don't want no issues. You got it.
And mind you, he was still on federal probation.
All this on federal probation. This nigga's a super villain, bro.
From being a snitch in that F-13 case. But this is what I meant when I said this is probably the nastiest person we gonna touch on this channel. Pimping his granddaughter, his underage granddaughter. And at this time, the jailhouse diagnoses this dude with depressive disorder, psychotic symptoms, antisocial personality disorder, and hallucinations. But I think all that was a play because while he was sitting down, he still was calling the feds, acting like he was a member of the team. He called his federal handlers and asked them if they can put an extra TV remote in the pod because they only had two. Too Cool is crazy, man. This
calling his handlers to ask for an extra TV remote is barnacles.
dude right here is the nastiest homeboy snitch anything, man. Too Cool is a piece of work. But he was sentenced to 5 years for pimping his granddaughter. And when he got out for that case, the feds picked him up for the federal parole violation due to that case. Now, the key thing is what we see in the trial, the defense, of course, wants to tell the jury, hey, this guy's nasty. He's pimping his granddaughter. He's a dirty character because they want the jury to find him to be an incredible witness. But the judge is not allowing Doc's defense team to bring those specific facts out. They wanted to be a fair
specific. Don't worry about it. Words are hard.
Trial, so they only let the defense.
Pacific is the ocean. Specific is the deep. Words are hard.
Say that he was convicted of human trafficking of a minor. But since he was picked up for that federal violation, when he got out, this is when he decided to cooperate on Doc Thone. Now, mind you, Doc was already in the right for calling this dude a snitch in 2015. Here we are in 2020, and now he's actually snitching on Doc. And prior to this, he already had a green light from the Florida NCIS and from East Coast. Now, before the situation, he did give the feds Doc's phone number, but he didn't talk about the 2003 murder at all with Doc. Because in his words, when he seen Doc in the county in 2004 for that murder, he thought that situation was done. He thought there was nothing he could say, but in this new RICO trial, he told the jury what Doc told him about how he beat that murder. And of course, like many other confidential witnesses, he was getting paid by the feds. When he asked for them TV remotes for the tier, they also put some money on his books. And it said up until the point where he testified in this RICO.
Nigga, what? Nigga, the feds gave this nigga an extra remote for the TV and put money on this nigga's books? Oh yeah, this nigga's a fucking suit. What? What? This nigga's like the fucking Thanos of the supervillain snitch world. Like, this nigga's fucking unbeatable. Listen, boy. Boop, boop, boop. Squares a box of Applejack twice as green. I will not steal a piece of candy with you niggas. Nigga, never. I got 86 cents. Here, just take it. This nigga's diabolical. I'm old. Candy at 86 cents somewhere. I got 277. There it goes. That's about how much candy costs now. This nigga is diabolical, bro. Niggas sell you out over a fucking remote, nigga. This... Oh, God. This nigga is wild, bro. Shit.
He had made about $3,200 off of the feds, and they was paying for his living situation since he had to move around.
Nigga, yes, a TV remote, nigga. The clicker, the channel changer, nigga. Yes, nigga, a TV remote.
Around because of his green lights. And his total so far added up to about $14,000 that he received in meals, housing, and cash from the feds. Now it's said that he did multiple rehearsals with the feds in order to testify against Doc. And I'm gonna tell you, when looking at the trial, this dude was very comfortable. And like I said, he was probably the worst witness to have on this case because he was willing to just tell it all, even though he still got two sons from East Coast. Now, I don't know their standings, but Too Cool is the biggest rat we may ever speak on Rap News Street Politics. Now, before Doc went down for the guns and ammunition in 26.
All right, man. I'm going to be back later on with the rest of this. I need to go do some fight training. I said I was going to help the young homie get his shit together. We will be back with the rest of this. I just got to go bust my little... I got to fight this weekend, y'all. Sunday. Saturday? Sunday. I don't know. Dates actually are important. But I'll figure it out. I got to fight. I got to go train. Chat, I'm really up out of here. You know what, chat? I'm gonna run a playlist for y'all. And if you want to kick it, you can kick it. Y'all can still talk shit in the chat. But red dots to the left, y'all know the rest. Free Avenue Angel, so he's free. We gone.